How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. However, there may be some new developments, but I don't know if they are linked to your mother. We have found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. I'm afraid she was brutally murdered, stabbed several times.
I can't believe it. We bumped into each other last night on our way to bed.
Yes, I know. Duchess Hillsborough informed us that she accompanied you at the beginning of the evening. You apparently bumped into Miss Adams, who wanted to speak to you. We are told you turned her away, and she went away on her own.
That's correct.
Do you know what she wanted to see you about, by any chance?
She seemed upset about something. I thought she was under the influence of alcohol, but we didn't really speak.
Pity. The poor child was probably trying to find help.
I thought it could wait until tomorrow.
Apparently not.
Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why is that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say, Louis. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects. Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming.
Golden elixir. Consume without excess.
Which four-letter word could open this?
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
Nothing special.
Has anyone told you that Elizabeth was killed last night?
Yes. Rumors spread quickly.
Huh. He looks very put out.
It's horrible. How did it happen?
I can say nothing to you, sir. You'd better follow your host's instructions and stay in your quarters.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe.
numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. Scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. She had the Sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. Symbol of the Masons? What's that doing here? Ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what? I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. Pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood, if the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. Wounds are clean and look like they've been inflicted by a sharp object. Some of the lacerations have damaged vital organs, the heart, the right lung, which is perforated. Most of them weren't given with much force. She might even have survived. But the stab in the heart, though not all that deep, sealed her fate. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos. similar to those on the rest of her body. A chest with a half-circle pattern. An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. The note suggests binding the feet and hands, then blocking the jaws using a piece of cloth to prevent the tongue from being sectioned. That looks like a method to control an epileptic fit. I wonder if Elizabeth is the one being treated for that illness. Blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. Direction of the blood streaks caused by the wounds to the thorax show that she was standing when she lost blood. This proves that she was standing when she was assassinated, possibly held by someone or something. Let's see. No trace of sexual assault or rape. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that I count no few. The blade is short and thin, well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. The handprint on the handle is really small. I can't imagine a man with a hand that size. It must be from a woman's hand. Knocked over bottle of wine. What kind of plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Briand. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. Piece of fabric, high quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear.
Color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room?
Pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth. I can't exactly say it brought her good luck. A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Has Sir finished with this room?
I know enough now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Tending children at the orphanage in Harlem. I find it a little hard to understand this painting choice. King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language in all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least une partie of it.
Amber.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours, E. T.S. The French chapter of the Order doesn't appear to know anything about the arrival of our friend Sarah. I therefore cannot comment on it. However, my guess is that she has come here for personal reasons.
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds, painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Death came quickly. You can be assured of that.
If such a senseless act can happen here, then none of us is truly safe anywhere. Lord Mortimer must be mortified that one of his guests could have committed such an act, don't you think?
He is indeed very upset about it. It's only natural after such a violent murder.
Violent? What do you mean?
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times.
Oh my God, Louis. How awful. The murderer must have had a serious grudge against her to set upon her like that. It must have been a crime of passion. Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet, still searching as it happens. That said, since a blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, Do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. Did you and Elizabeth get to know...
I feel she seemed...
I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with Her Majesty the Queen, would you please be so kind as to ask her to look into my petition to raise taxes with the King? I will personally see to it that our nation will recover from this impasse. But King George's mental situation is slowing down our decision-taking. Thank you in advance for all your help. William Pitt, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Two coils circle the lock. Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell. A letter from William Pitt the Elder addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you enough for looking after him. You know the latter's preferences, and you will understand he needs you desperately. For that, and as agreed with Queen Charlotte, our friend Duke Hillsborough will carry out his task and meet with you within 6 months. From then on, you'll be free from want. Yours sincerely, William Pitt, Count of Chatham. A devil's thorn, to be used to uncover the best disguised traits. Just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaget as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight. So I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really. No. As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you. Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
I've been studying him for a while now, and I don't think he was lying. Yet, I'm surprised how easy it was for me to read him. It must surely be his military side. I wish they all could be like that. My investigation would be finished already. Someone saw you...
I can tell. I wanted now. What an idiot.
Were you able to recognize the prowler?
Unfortunately not, no. It was dark, and Lord Mortimer was waiting for me. I was not really paying attention. Anyway. Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
It's never too late, sir. If you have something to say, now is the time.
You don't understand. Everything's already written. It's over.
Why is he behaving like the perfect culprit? What is it that's already written? I'm not sure I follow you.
No, you don't.
The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests. Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris. It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris. And there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around.
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. A boat will be waiting for you in Calais and will take you to Dover in England. From there, a carriage will take you to the port of Tintagel, where a frigate will be waiting for you and other guests, so you can meet up with me on my island as quickly as possible. I await your arrival. Lord William Mortimer.
Pattern with 4 circles. Dear Monsieur Peru, I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. These funds will be crucial for the renovation of the western wing of the orphanage. The children you sent are doing marvelously well, and little Pierre will soon be walking. Some of them still sometimes suffer nightmares about their parents on the scaffold, but I expect they will cease in due course. Should you decide to send us more, please note that another 20 beds will soon be ready. The children and myself will never thank you enough. Long live the Republic. Long live France. Sister Marie-Hélène.
I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself.
I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Great. Honey.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
I know you were at the scene. We will save a lot of time if you just tell me what happened.
You know nothing at all.
Enlighten me then. For now, I have your footprint in a pool of blood.
That's right. The only thing you can prove is one of my boots was at the scene. Congratulations, you've wrapped up the investigation.
Monsieur Johann van Volner. The alchemist is a young man.
A cache.
The signs of obscurantism. Sorrows of young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever-obedient servant. So, Volner had a relationship with Elizabeth, but that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult. Table of alchemical symbols. Someone circled the zinc symbol. A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart. Amber crystals. The alchemist is an old man.
Greek drachma, one of the rare ancient coins to be mentioned both in the Bible and in the Quran.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Did you see how many tattoos Miss Adams had on her?
Of course. Who wouldn't have noticed?
Yes, but I'm sure that an expert like yourself must have an opinion on the subject.
I do. She was seeking to imprison something inside her. Her own body had become a sort of prison.
She wanted to protect herself, is that what you're saying?
Elizabeth was a flame, a candle in the night. And like all candles in the night, she was surrounded by darkness, by her demons, call it what you will. One thing is for sure. She struggled against hell and high water not to let her flame go out.
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly. Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. I get the impression that your romance was over. Am I right?
So? What does it matter to you? I would never have attacked her, if that's what you're insinuating.
Who put an end to the relationship? You or her?
It was her. It was her. But what does that matter? We both agreed.
Exactly how long had you been seeing her?
I have no reason to answer you.
I see. Is that what you want me to tell Lord Mortimer when he asks what I found out?
It's only been a few weeks.
You loved her, didn't you?
That is none of your damn business.
Your feelings betray you, sir.
So what? Yes, I loved her, like a moth loves the flame of a candle. That's why we could never be together.
Please, tell me a little more about the nature of your relationship.
That is a personal matter, monsieur.
Yes, that is true. So, tell me.
All right. It was passion. That's why we couldn't stay together. It scared her.
We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
Golden elixir.
of Vermont. A map of Vermont. A map of Vermont.
My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role on the world stage. I understand your reluctance of playing with fire. I know your new country is very young, but rest assured that I would do nothing to jeopardize what we have built together. I look forward to seeing you soon. Your friend, William.
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
Portrait of George Washington.
Great. Honey. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
The English and the Americans are preparing a peace treaty. It would appear that Emily is in secret discussion with Washington about reopening trade between the United States and England. If such an arrangement came into being, France would suffer dearly.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines.
Were you aware that...
Yes.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then?
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Perry, but that case was closed if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out. It looks like a mixture of medieval Latin and Anglo-Norman. It is difficult to make sense of this jerky writing. I can make out some passages, though. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing. A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
What can I do for you, Louis?
Tell me, Emily, what's the nature of your relationship with Washington?
Oh, come off it, Louis. You're not going to go into a jealous rage, are you?
No, I can assure you of that. That has nothing to do with it. You're preparing a treaty to break the ties between the United States and France.
Whatever are you talking about, Louis?
I read your correspondences, Emily.
It's not what you think. So don't go thinking there's anything personal in it.
Are you trying to break Franco-American agreements, Emily?
That's the job, Louis. We're all doing everything we can to serve the best interests of our nation. It's got nothing to do with you or us.
But why didn't you tell me about it before?
Would you have told me?
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger.
Have you found...
Not yet. The handprint...
Do you really... Bearing in mind that not...
I know, Emily.
Keep up your card.
If what you... I won't keep you, Emily.
See you, Luke.
How can I help, monsieur?
Excuse me for asking, but...
Oh, she...
I found the...
Be careful, my really.
Yes!
Do...
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself. I'd like to talk about the letter.
Who says it? I'm not saying any...
What can I do for you, Louis?
I won't keep you, Emily.
See you.
Devil's Thorn.
I'll keep it.
Greetings, Louis.
Are you all right, Mr. President? Are you feeling all right?
Oh, don't worry. It's this rotten toothache. What do you expect? I'm no spring chicken now.
I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free.
Thank you. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
Will you remind me of the facts we already know about?
Elizabeth Adams was killed last night, but Piaggi was with Holm and I until late at night. As for Bonaparte and Washington, they left us after midnight, both tired.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
I'm going to need a bit more time to review my findings about the crime.
I do understand. All the more so as it's crucial not to make any mistakes when it comes to naming the culprit.
I've come to speak about the...
I'm listening.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I don't have any evidence conclusive enough to allow me to name the culprit with certitude.
Really? I see. Well, that's your decision, Louis, and I accept it. Given the distinguished guests and the sensitive political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
I'd like to answer the cat, but unfortunately I'm
increasingly worried that she's, in fact, the mouse.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Isn't Bonaparte a bit young to deserve so much attention?
Well, you come straight to the point. I like that. Indeed, if you knew just how much you remind me of him. Trust me, I'll wager that Monsieur Napoleon will soon prove himself. I'm working on it, at least. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
She was looking for someone.
What do you mean?
In Paris, we were working on a smuggling case to do with occult objects. We had just arrested a dealer who intended to go to you to meet a buyer. My mother was here to find out to whom he intended to sell his stolen treasure.
What was the name of your dealer?
If I'm not mistaken, the dealer was called Von Richet?
Name means nothing to me. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wohler, and myself.
My lord, I'm obliged to ask this question, but please don't take offense to it.
Ah, you wondered if Sarah was wary of me. It just so happens that I've been asking myself the very same question. Because I can't explain why Sarah didn't come to see me, knowing how influential I am. But to your point, I can't imagine she would be. Although I am obviously not the best person to answer that question.
Thank you. I had to ask.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
You're speaking of Grigory Alexandrovich Potemkin?
The very man. The little devil behind the mother of all Russians. Since his death, I know absolutely nothing of what the Tsarina is up to.
Oh, really?
Ah, yes. I didn't mean to shock you. Please forgive me. Let's just say that, in my position, it is often advantageous to know about the habits and customs of world leaders.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Mother lulled my childhood with tales of the Crusades, how Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus had to battle it out to achieve their ends, and how Guy de Lusignan, having broken his word, launched the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Oh, I see Sarah's lessons have inspired new enthusiasts. Good on you, because not everyone can claim they know as much at your age. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you. The room is just opposite Mortimer's study.
Dante's Paradise.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. St. Paul on the road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. The door appears to be locked on the other side. What is this disc? The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. We'll see if it works. It's open. A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. St. Paul, painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe? The New Testament. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add one companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times, and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. It says, "Count in the dust." All right, let's do it. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Reni. There's nothing worth noticing here. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. That's what the message in Hebrew spoke about. Hebrew 8. It's too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years. No, nothing of value here. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message.
There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's say tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him.
Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? A fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. and he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious. It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon. Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis? About last night, I'm guessing.
Sadly, no. Even if I'd like to have, alas, there are more pressing matters. I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision. I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay.
They kept up a secret correspondence, which makes me think they were suspicious of someone.
And did you find out who it was?
No, but von Wollner is mentioned. They were planning to make a quick getaway and were looking to hide something beforehand.
Have you got these messages?
Yes. Go ahead, take a look.
I see. I must say, thanks for your honesty, Louis.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge. Emily, there's something else.
Go on then.
It's about your sister. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's possible that my mother had a go at her.
I know, Louis. I found out that same evening. Well, thanks for not trying to hide it.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know I can. It seems that your mother tricked Emma. She apparently asked her to hide an important book so that even she wouldn't know where it was. And then she shot her like a dog to make sure no one would ever find it again.
How did you find out?
Sir Gregory told me on my arrival.
I'm sincerely sorry, Emily.
Thank you, Louis. You're very kind. It means a lot to me. But you do realize your mother will have to accept the consequences of her acts.
There must be an explanation, Emily.
That's what we shall see.
We'll speak about it later, somewhere safe.
Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And what has Mr. Peru done to once again provoke someone's anger?
We don't really know just yet.
I get the feeling it won't be long before it gets out.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined.
What?
Oh, no.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before.
How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if it...
Gracious.
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous! Bastard! He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote! Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness, he was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But
That's enough, sir.
with whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, Here I was preparing to introduce you, as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too. Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
To hear you speak, you seem to know my mother well.
Not really. We met for the first time on this very spot some weeks back. We had a very pleasant discussion. She's an exceptionally learned lady with a good head for business. No need for me to tell you that.
I agree.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
Of course she did.
Perfect. I'm glad to know it. So, how should we proceed then?
What do you mean?
Oh, come, sir. No point pretending. You know. You obviously have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
I found one.
Quite old? With locks on every chapter?
Oh no. I'm sorry, sir. This one is the Mysterium Cosmographicum, a book she is particularly fond of.
Oh, no. That's not the one.
Poor man's disgusted. I shouldn't play with his nerves. I'll look again. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Richet in Paris. Do you know him?
Indeed. My mother and I had a brush with this individual just a few months ago.
What about?
About an object stolen from the Order a few years ago, which my mother wanted to recover.
This situation comes as a great surprise to me.
I got him now. I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Richet was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. It's Sir Gregory.
Correct. You ought to know then, he is not a man who likes to be duped. You are walking on thin ice, sir.
I've retrieved everything.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
There are some rumors about his loose morals.
Juste, monsieur. Add to that his devouring ambition, if you want my opinion. Playing at lover boy rather than gaining merit for his career. It's a disgrace for any soldier.
I understand your point of view. Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
Does expression "go beyond the nightmare" mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well. I doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Indeed. That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service, day and night, sir.
As I was unable to bring my personal effects with me, I was wondering if you could find me a few items.
Of course, sir. What would you require?
A little Carmelite water would do me a lot of good. Could you find me some, please?
Oh, the tonics are under lock and key, sir. Lord Mortimer only allows access to them in cases of emergency.
Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see, everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
What do you mean?
The situation is ready to explode with France over Catalonia.
Well, the Duke must have a darn good reason to be absent and come here, mustn't he?
When Lord Mortimer invites you, Louis, you come. It's always in your best interest.
I wouldn't say that personally, but...
Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit.
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I haven't been following the case. I'm sure that the Order did everything in its power. Unfortunately, you know the situation in Paris, and, well, it's chaotic at best. Anything can happen in those revolutionary tribunals.
The king is the official representative of God on earth, my son.
Your Eminence, France has become a secular state. The king was just another citizen to them. He refused to admit his errors, looked down upon them, and attempted to escape. What did he expect?
France has lost all reason, Louis.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the church. You can believe me.
I'm sure a man like you is in the circle of trust. Would you know what the conference that Lord Mortimer mentioned is going to be about?
Not really, my son. Well, be it Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory, we are never informed about the theme of the conference before it begins.
If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
Well, I mean, if it were a place or an object found on this island, what would you think of first?
The nightmare. No, I don't see anything. I'm sorry.
Well, that's too bad.
Ah, wait! I suppose it might be that horrible painting hanging in Lord Mortimer's study.
Pretend not to be that interested. Right. Well, don't worry about it. I was just curious. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
lock is surrounded by a triple circle.
There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid.
Fragment of amber.
What do you want, Louis?
Emily, what can you tell me about the coming conference?
Sir Gregory and Lord Mortimer organize this kind of high society meeting every so often in order to consider the world situation.
But to what purpose?
Well, by bringing together the most influential people from the dominant nations of the modern world, they allow the mighty to discuss matters with calm clarity. There are precedents of armistices being signed at the end of these talks, you know. Talking while holding a glass of brandy makes things easier. You'll see.
What do you think of our last guest?
Well, I never thought I would get the chance to meet that Hispanic Casanova in the flesh. His reputation is well known. The gentleman collects lovers, including, would you believe it, the Queen of Spain.
The Queen of Spain likes to indiscreetly say, the King, Godoy, and myself make up the Holy Trinity. The people have appropriately renamed them the Goat, the Ruffian, and the Whore.
I didn't see you being a mudslinger in your idle hours, I must say. You're leaving me?
Unfortunately, I have things to do. Thank you again, madam.
So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare? The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed. No, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. Might come in handy.
take a closer look. Dark chocolate beans. Very bitter. They're greatly prized in high society. A myna bird. Well, Waldo, is your master good? Tell me the door code. Sarah de Richet? Waldo, you know Sarah? Sarah de Richet? Waldo, you know Sarah? What? Repeat that, Waldo. Sarah? What about Sarah? Good God, what's been happening here? Tell me the door code. Here I am talking to a bird. Shame on me. Well, Waldo, is your master good? I don't really know what I was expecting. William Alexander Mortimer the First, the 12th month of Anno Lucis, 5190. That's a funny date. Well, well, history of the Mortimer lineage. Looks like his ancestors have always sought to improve society and have had an open attitude towards the arts. Oh, the family tree. The first William Alexander Mortimer. He was born in 1131 and distinguished himself during the Third Crusade, during which he rubbed shoulders with Richard the Lionheart. He showed outstanding bravery during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre. He died in 1211 in the country of Westford at the age of 80. What longevity! Nice. Nothing is mentioned about his wife. The direct descendant of William Alexander Mortimer I was born in 1195 on his father's return from the crusade. Only son, more discreet than his father, it states that he was widely traveled. He produced only one descendant, named William Michael Mortimer. He died in 1275. There's no chapter dedicated to his mother. All right. For one, the women of the lineage are not mentioned at all. What a cavalier attitude. Right. Let's see. Who else is there? Only son, a descendant with a singular name. He also took a wife and had only one child, named William again. Another at random. William Mortimer again. Only son, him too. Born in 1573 and died in 1665. The Mortimers lived to a ripe old age, that's for sure. Discreet again. The summary states that he was an excellent merchant, and that towards the end of his life, he entered politics? Lord William Alexander Mortimer, lover of the arts and the sciences, he took up politics at an early age. After rapidly becoming influential, he decides to retire from public life in order to organize conferences reserved for the elite with the aim of finding answers to world problems. Blah, blah, blah. He's also an only son, and the book doesn't mention any known descendant. Let's see. All Mortimer's ancestors are called William something Mortimer. That happens a lot in noble families, but here it's systematic. Not a single generation ever breaks the custom. Looks like this family is very attached to their principles. This seems to be the list of grants and sponsorships given by the Mortimer family. In 1489, the Mortimer family participates in the purchase of the Caravel Santa Clara from Juan Niño, shipowner, on behalf of Don Luis de la Cerda. The vessel will be renamed La Niña. In 1567, the Mortimer family financed the brickworks in Qinhongdao in China, fitted out with 51 furnaces 3.5 meters high, in guise of a protocol gift for Long King, the emperor of the Ming Dynasty. In 1645, the Mortimer family allocated a pension to be passed down the generations to the Nerac family from Bordeaux, shipowners and refiners from father to son, a family known for their expeditions to Africa and America. From 1235 to 1280, the Mortimer family granted an annual pension to Albert the Great, Archbishop of Regensburg, in order to fund his research in the writing of De Mirabilibus Munci, books about the wonders of the world. In 1513, the Mortimers financed an expedition of Ponce de Leon to the New World. That was the expedition that resulted in the discovery of Florida, in fact. In 1772, Lord Mortimer made a donation of £112,000 to the attention of Achille Basmarin, major shipowner of Bordeaux, for the construction of a ship, the Clary. In 1635, the Mortimer family sponsored the Academy of Mersenne for 30 years in Paris for works in the sciences and in philosophy. That was generous, but not entirely selfless when you think about Blaise Pascal, who developed the first calculating machine at the same time. In 1550, the Mortimer family financed half of the construction of St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow by way of protocol gift for Ivan IV Vasilievich, one of the most beautiful religious buildings ever built. From 1685 to 1720, the Mortimer family allocated an annual pension to Denis Papin for his brilliant works in pneumatics and hydraulics. That reminds me of spectacular experiments such as his first submarine, which didn't end all that well if I remember correctly. Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. This painting isn't finished. It looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. This painting isn't finished. It looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. History of the First Crusades by Pierre Amédée de la Sarbe. Hey, the dates indicate AL, and it looks like 4,000 years have been added to our calendar. Oh, that counting system again. The famous call from Pope Gregory VIII in his Audita Tremendi Bull of 5,187. Oh, the crusade where Richard the Lionhearted distinguished himself. It states the first sea blockade of Saint-Jean d'Acre was broken in the 12th month of 5,190 AL, whereas the siege had been going on for 2 years. Hey, there are two dates on this painting. 1154 AD and 5154 AL. A painting depicting the Third Crusade. It's titled Winter Before the Fall of Saint-Jean d'Acre. The Siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre was a major conflict during the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus fought to take the town back. It was the Crusaders' first operation to take back the Kingdom of Jerusalem. I get the impression I've seen that before. In fact, I've read something on the Crusades before in the study. He clearly loves the subject. Open sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Mortimer. It's locked. Honey, the remedy of the gods. Carmelite water will give me a little reprieve. Honey, the remedy of the gods. It shows the forces present in Africa. This is unexpected activity in this sector. It looks like there are also many
unknowns even for Mortimer. Moreover, it shows a fair number of sea voyages being organized towards the American continent. No doubt with slaves. How many men are broken in this trade? Tens of thousands each year, according to what people say. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Tremor. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in. And goes on, there are hundreds of good ways to live life, but you only need one to convince the masses that it's the only one possible. The author isn't letting any ethical principles get in his way, is he? This shows the forces present in America. Some of those forces are pushing toward the west. On it, Mortimer's placed little feather symbols at different points, toward which the Spanish are headed. Could he be fueling Indian resistance to slow down Spain? It shows the forces present in Europe. It's clear that France is surrounded by her enemies. However, a large number has been underlined in bold. 26 million. I know what it is. It's an estimation of my country's population. All our neighbors have far fewer inhabitants. It looks like a campaign is being prepared in France in favor of Italy. Could Mortimer have decided to finance a war? Fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. Something strange about this table. The little surgeon's perfect collection. What kind of experiments does Mortimer carry out here? It's a dissection table. So Mortimer does autopsies. Here on his desert island. But who is he doing autopsies on then? Looks like obsidian or onyx. Must weigh a ton. Strange. I don't recognize the alphabet. I wonder where the pictograms are from. It isn't Egyptian or Hebrew. There are two inscriptions on the sides as well as on the top. No way to know what's underneath. Absolutely no idea what it's for, but I find this cube fascinating. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton by the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. Mortimer's given a name to his anatomy skeleton. That's morbid. Oh, his right hand is missing. Look, a pack of tarot cards. Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. It is a typical draw on a line that answers a specific question. To the left, temperance. That announces a reward for one who patiently waits before taking any action. And in the middle, the chariot, which symbolizes triumph and business success. To the right, the Emperor evokes a future full of power and stability. Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for. I'm a little surprised at Mortimer. I didn't seem as the type to be organizing little pagan parties, invoking occult powers, and dancing naked under the full moon. I'm more used to seeing cheap charms like this sold by charlatans in Pré Saint-Gervais. 3 rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. That must be for writing the homing pigeon messages.
seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those. Table of alchemical elements. So, Lord Mortimer also studies alchemy? It seems like he's interested in everything.
A chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire. Iron mask. I wonder who it's for. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is his stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Oh, shit. How am I gonna get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. It looks like the same as the one on the other side. This looks like the same mechanism as... Well, better not dwell on it then.
This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. We must absolutely inform Sir Gregory. How long has he been trying to collect all the spears?
I must have brought him the first one 20-odd years ago.
Do you know if he has managed to get the original?
Well, in any case, he's got all the ones we had at the Vatican. He made me replace them with copies. But I don't understand your reaction. I'm sure it is nothing serious.
Aha. I can see very well you do not understand. You have done nothing less than sign our death warrants, and still you don't understand.
Someone is listening.
What? Monsieur de Richet, why not join us rather than find yourself eavesdropping?
I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Of course you didn't. So, my son, what can we do for you?
I didn't mean to spy on you, but you caught my attention. Your Eminence, I don't know what you said to Mr. von Volna, but the poor fellow looks positively crestfallen.
Not at all.
Don't you believe it, Louis. I was just telling Monsieur about Lord Mortimer's burning passion for holy relics. You must have noticed he's a bit of a collector. Well, for years he has been searching high and low to bring all the copies of the Holy Spear together. As I was coming here, I thought I'd bring him a few of them. That's all.
Be quiet, for God's sake. Please leave us, monsieur. His Eminence and I wish to finish our discussion alone.
Oh no. I must have brought him the first one.
Leave us now.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
Excuse me, but could you perhaps help me?
That is what I am here for, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
I'm trying to find out where this sword came from.
From the garden, sir. That sword belongs to one of the statues in the garden.
Thank you very much.
Do not mention it, sir.
The lock is surrounded by a triple circle. All right, I've retrieved everything.
Is everything all right, my young friend?
Wonderful.
Isn't that lovely? Well, see you later. Is everything all right, my young friend?
Wonderful.
Isn't that lovely? Well, see you later.
There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for? Golden elixir.
Well, Monsieur de Richet, what brings you here?
To tell the truth, I was wondering the same thing about you.
It's rare for guests to wander about in the garden. I wanted to be alone for 5 minutes.
You look worried.
Worried? No. Resolved would be a more exact term.
Resolved to do what?
What's the point in answering? You wouldn't believe me anyway. I'll be leaving now because whatever it is you're up to, I do not want to know. Be seeing you.
Tell me, aren't you even curious?
Curiosity killed a cat, Monsieur de Richet. I admit, I may have judged you wrongly. Watching you seek out Mortimer's little secrets might even be amusing if I didn't already know the consequences. See you later.
What scares you so much?
Don't mess with him, monsieur. If he offers his help, refuse it. Keep your freedom and get far away from here while you still can.
An old sesterce from Roman Gaul. Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. It looks like this slab moves. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a passageway underneath it.
What is that? It's like a sort of opening mechanism. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart. Let's see. A crack as long as my finger. I guide the sword that would kill the monster. Ariadne. Let's see. What's going to happen if I've got it wrong? What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things or my hand was pricked. It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot. Here's the famous Ariadne's thread, thanks to which, if I remember rightly, Theseus avoided getting lost in the labyrinth. I'll try something else. Icarus. son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. Hey, there's no crack here. Well, let's keep going. Theseus, son of Aegeus. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. It's as long as a finger. I'd say between 6 and 8 centimeters. I wonder if Mother managed to solve this enigma. Minos, son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. His gesture sealed his fate. The crack is in the region of the heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. Let's see if you're in there, Mother. A fragment of amber. Bandages. Someone's been patching themselves up.
Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. There are patches where the blood isn't totally clotted. That's a good sign, right? She changed them recently, which proves she's still looking after herself and still believes in her chances. Well, I'd love to tell her to keep hanging in there. These bandages are pretty basic. She'll be lucky if she doesn't get an infection. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
Don't move!
Wait, I'm not armed.
Who are you?
Good God, Mother, what have you—
Tell me who you are!